Hey everybody, it's Giuseppe. I'm back, and yeah, last week I was very excitable. Definitely a lot of high energy last episode. And again, thanks everyone for being so supportive. It's been really fun doing this, and I'm really just settling in to this long form project. So I'm really just kind of gonna be calming down, taking stock, and focusing on just making this game as cool looking as I can make it, because that's the fun of it, right? So that being said, I want to talk today a little bit about working in limitations because I feel like this came about because of some limitations that are happening in my life. Uh, at the beginning of this episode, you can definitely see me kind of like futzing with different color palettes. And even a color palette can be a good limitation to work in because you only have so many colors to choose from, and it really makes you kind of think about how you're approaching everything. On top of a color palette limitation, too, I'm working in RPG Maker, which only uses tiles that are 48 by 48 pixels, and that can kind of really make you think about how you're going to approach the art style. Now, I know you can break it so that your characters can be double the height. However, I don't really know how I feel about that look. I think some games can do it pretty well. I've seen a few games do it. Like Skyborn was a very beautiful RPG Maker game with the characters that had the double height characters. But I think I want to stay within the one box look, and I'm taking a more isometric angle with my character designs. Speaking of working in limitations, I chose RPG Maker kind of to stay limited, kind of to have a rigid wall to push up against and really push myself, both artistically, design wise, scope wise, all those things. Constantly having to ask myself, can I even do that in RPG Maker? Is actually helping a lot in terms of my own creative mindset. Godot was actually a huge contender of engine that I was going to work in, but I think Godot has too much freedom for me. I think I would love to see what I could do in Godot one day, but I almost don't trust myself with Godot. I think working in RPG Maker is a better limited creative toolkit for me to kind of stay down to earth and focused in. So that's kind of why I'm doing the creative project I'm doing in general. I have new idea syndrome. I think a lot of creatives do. Um, where I want to make a comic, I want to make an animated series, I want to make a book, I want to make a billion things. Well, RPGs can basically be all of those things in one thing, so that's why I chose the medium. And I've talked about that before, so I'm not going to stay on it forever. It's also challenging me to learn new things. Like I'm using old skills and wisdom that I've collected over, oh god, 18 years of my artistic journey so far. But everything is a slightly different look. Learning pixel art, for example. I'm totally new to this. As you're watching me do this, this is some of my very first uh, efforts into learning pixel art for game making, for anything really. I've done a few pixelized pieces in the past, but I wouldn't even call those like really pixel art at the end of the day. I would have never considered myself a pixel artist until very recently, and I still don't even feel like I've earned that badge of honor quite yet. As I'm learning Aseprite in this recording right now. Even though it's been a few weeks since I've done this recording, I still have less than 9 hours logged into the program. So I'm still very new to this. And heading a RPG project, I'm new to a lot of the things in here. I've been working in tabletop games for a long time. I've been dungeon mastering since I was 16 years old. I'm 32 now, if that gives you a scope. I've been playing Dungeon Master at all my table games for Dungeons and Dragons for a very long time. I even have published a few books on the Dungeon Masters Guild. And I've worked as an artist on Monochrome RPG. So I've been around RPGs my whole life, but I've never headed an RPG project like this before as a video game. So that's a new thing. Like I've played with RPG Maker MV. I'm using MZ right now. I have about 200 hours in MV, and I have about 60 hours in MZ. But most of that is just playing around with databases and not really making anything meaningful. So I'm very new to the program still. And you're probably like, hey Joseppi, why are you talking about all of this? Well, I think whenever you open up a YouTube video, I think an assumption a lot of people make is that the person talking on the YouTube video is an authority on what they're talking about, that they actually know what they're doing. I want to just really pull back the curtain and let people know I don't. I do not know what I'm doing. I have experience in a lot of peripheral things vaguely related to what I'm currently doing. But I'm very new. I'm jumping into a lot of things I'm not familiar with. And a big part of this series, this Draw With Me, Draw With Joseppi show, is to encourage people to get out of their comfort zone, to try new things, to enjoy the struggle, to enjoy working in the unknown. I'm not just learning pixel art as I'm doing this for the first time. I'm learning pixel art. I'm learning RPG Maker. I'm learning project management. I have friends who want to work on this project with me, and I've worked alongside them on other projects, or collaboratively, or just tangentially, not even working with them, but nearby them as they do their own thing. And a lot of us have always wanted to work together, and some of them are like, hey Joseppi, I want to see what you can do when you're at the head, and I want to be a part of that. And that's a huge compliment, and I don't say that to brag. I say it more of like, oh wow, I got a responsibility to do the best I can by these friends who are giving me their time. So I'm learning project management, I'm learning direction, and I'm lucky enough to have friends from completely different skill sets who are willing to teach me how to direct them as we go. I have a giant Trello board that someone helped me set up, and even as I'm filling out the Trello board, they're like, hey, these instructions are not very good. Let me teach you how to instruct a coder, because instructing artists and writers is very different from instructing coders, and every branch is its own unique language and communication, and I'm not the best at leading and communicating and telling people what I intend. So communication is another skill that I'm learning, and I'm enjoying all of it, and I'm very fortunate to have friends who are willing to help me stumble through it. But that's the big thing, is I've never been afraid to stumble in front of people, and I think I'm only richer for it. Have I gone the whole way? No. Am I anywhere meaningful? Not yet, but I appreciate the people around me who are willing to watch me fumble and kind of lift me up as I go. And that's really allowed me to try things, to really get out there. But I don't think people would be willing to do that for me if I hadn't already been willing to try and fail on my own, to enjoy the chance to fail. Am I going to fail. I actually hope this one succeeds. This is a really meaningful project to me already. Um, and I've failed enough. I'm ready to actually try and win. So but the fear of failure is not a thing. Like I am very willing to fail. So be willing to try unknown things. Be willing to try new things because I actually think I fell in love with pixel art just trying it. Just like as you're watching me do this in this recording, you're actually seeing me fall in love with the medium. So be willing to try new things. You might fall in love. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.